They thought they could block my only road in and force me into their HOA. They thought paperwork and pressure would make me fold. What they didn't realize, what they never bothered to check, is that I owned the land beneath their authority. And when they crossed the line, I didn't argue, I documented. I bought my property because it was quiet, 5 acres at the edge of a newer subdivision. My land predated the development by decades. The deed was clean, the survey was clear. A recorded easement granted me permanent access through what would later become the HOA's main private road. I'm a civil engineer by trade. I read documents for a living. I don't assume, I verify. The first time I met Linda Hallbrook, she introduced herself as president of the Maple Ridge Homeowners Association. She had a clipboard tucked under her arm and the kind of smile that never quite reached her eyes. "Just making sure everyone's in compliance," she said, glancing past me toward my detached workshop. My workshop is steel-framed, permitted, and inspected. I pulled the permits myself. The county signed off. "We've had concerns," she added. "Noise, activity, safety." It was 3:40 in the afternoon. I'd been cutting cedar for shelving. Nothing industrial, nothing outside the legal noise window. "I'm not part of the HOA," I told her calmly. She tilted her head. "You use our road. It's a recorded access easement." Her smile tightened. That was the first visit. Then came the letters. White envelopes with bold headers. Notice of non-compliance. Violations listed included unapproved structure, commercial activity, and failure to register as an HOA member. The wording was careful, threatening, but wrapped in language like community harmony and shared responsibility. I responded once, certified mail, copy of my deed, copy of the easement, copy of county permits. A short letter. "I am not subject to Maple Ridge HOA governance. Please cease further compliance notices." For a few weeks it went quiet. Then the unannounced drop-ins started. Linda began showing up on Saturdays, sometimes alone, sometimes with a man I assumed was on the board. They'd stand at the edge of my gravel drive and take photos, always from just beyond the property line. Technically not trespassing. When I installed a new fence, 6 feet, cedar, fully within my surveyed boundary, I found a notice taped to it the next morning. "Fence violates aesthetic standards." I removed the notice, filed it. I installed exterior cameras the following week. Not hidden, visible domes under the eaves. Time-stamped recording, cloud backup. Pressure builds quietly when it's consistent. Emails followed, then invoices. HOA dues, late fees, and retroactive assessments. Each one referenced the road. Each one implied that access could be reviewed. That word stuck with me. Reviewed. My only entrance and exit runs through Maple Ridge's private road. Without it, I'd have to cut through protected wetlands. Legally impossible. I reviewed the easement language again. Perpetual, non-revocable, recorded before the subdivision existed. Legally, they couldn't touch it, but people who believe they hold authority don't always check where it ends. The warning sign came on a Tuesday morning. A new sign stood at the entrance to the subdivision road. "Private community, access restricted to members only." It wasn't there the night before. I stood there for a long moment, gravel crunching under my boots, staring at it. Steel posts, fresh concrete at the base. That wasn't passive-aggressive. That was preparation. And preparation means escalation. I drove through anyway. That evening, I pulled the county plat map up again. Then I printed it. Because if they were willing to suggest restricting access, the next move wouldn't be paper. It would be physical. And once that line was crossed, it wouldn't be reversible.
It happened at 6:12 a.m. I know the exact time because the footage is archived. I was leaving early for a site inspection when I rounded the bend toward the subdivision entrance and saw it. A metal swing gate, closed, chain looped through the latch, heavy padlock. Brand new. No notice, no warning. just a locked barrier between me and the only road connecting my property to the county highway. Linda was standing beside it, arms crossed, wearing a reflective vest like it gave her authority. "You can't block this," I said evenly, stepping out of my truck. "You're not a member," she replied. "Board voted last night. Access restricted pending compliance." I didn't argue. I pulled out my phone and recorded a wide shot, then a close-up of the padlock, then the concrete footings. "Are you recording me?" she snapped. "Yes. This is private property. So is mine." She didn't move. I called the county sheriff's non-emergency line, calmly explained recorded easement access obstructed, potential unlawful interference. Deputy Harris arrived 28 minutes later. Professional, neutral. He reviewed the easement copy I kept in my glove compartment. Then he looked at the gate. "Ma'am," he said to Linda, "if this easement predates your HOA and is recorded, you can't block it." "It's our road," she insisted. "He refuses to join." "That's a civil matter," the deputy replied. "Obstructing access could become something else." She refused to unlock it, so I documented that too. The deputy filed an incident report. He didn't cut the lock, that would require a court order, but his presence mattered. By noon, I'd spoken with a property attorney. By 3 p.m., a demand letter was drafted. Immediate removal of obstruction, notice of intent to seek injunctive relief and damages. I didn't threaten, I cited statute. That evening, instead of backing down, Linda escalated. At 8:47 p.m., HOA board members entered my driveway. The cameras captured them stepping 3 feet over the surveyed line. Trespass. They taped a final notice to my workshop door. Failure to comply, access termination imminent. I preserved the footage. The next morning, my attorney filed for an emergency injunction. When the court reviewed the documentation, recorded easement, video of obstruction, sheriff's report, the response was swift. Temporary restraining order granted. The HOA was legally required to remove the gate pending a full hearing. They didn't remove it voluntarily. A court officer supervised the removal 2 days later. Linda stood there, jaw tight, as contractors unbolted the posts from the concrete they'd poured 48 hours earlier. She still believed she was right. That belief is dangerous. Because at the hearing the following week, the documentation wasn't emotional, it was chronological. Photos, timestamps, incident report, trespass footage, demand letters ignored. When the judge asked why the HOA blocked a recorded easement, Linda said, "He refuses to be part of the community." Silence followed. The judge's expression didn't change. "That's not a legal basis," he said. The case moved forward, and with it came discovery. Emails from Linda to the board surfaced, messages suggesting they pressure him until he gives in. They weren't prepared for that to be public, but it would be.
The special HOA meeting was standing room only. Word travels fast when lawyers get involved. Neighbors who had quietly paid dues for years were now reading the same emails I had, projected onto a screen at the front of the clubhouse. I didn't speak first. My attorney did. He laid out the timeline, the easement recording date, the unlawful obstruction, the trespass, the court order, the legal fees incurred. Then he played the footage. No dramatic music, just Linda's voice at the gate. Access restricted pending compliance. You could hear the certainty in it. That certainty dissolved quickly. The HOA's insurance carrier had already issued a warning. Intentional, unlawful acts are not covered. Legal defense costs would fall to the association, or the individuals responsible. When that was explained, the room shifted. A vote was called to remove Linda as president, pending further action. It passed by overwhelming majority. The court ruling followed 2 weeks later. Permanent injunction against the HOA, preventing interference with my easement. Monetary damages for obstruction and legal costs. Formal finding of trespass. Separate from that, the county cited the HOA for unpermitted gate installation within a recorded access corridor. Fines followed. Linda resigned from the board entirely. There were no handcuffs, no shouting, just consequences. Over the next month, 2 board members stepped down. A new president was elected. The signage at the entrance was revised to reflect the recorded easement. No one knocked on my door anymore. One afternoon, a neighbor I'd never spoken to before walked up my drive. "I didn't realize," he said quietly, "about the easement or the pressure." "Most people don't read the fine print," I replied. He nodded. The workshop is quiet again. The road remains open. I still cut cedar on Saturdays. The cameras are still mounted, though they rarely capture anything more than deer crossing at dusk. Authority without understanding is fragile. Documentation isn't loud. It doesn't argue. It waits. And when the line is crossed, it speaks for you. I never wanted a fight. I just wanted access to what I already owned. Now I have it, and this time it's undisputed.